did you notice that Matthias and Nina were completely laughing in the face of Rose and Jack in that water with the door? I was like, is this a Titanic redo? Like, we're laughing like we could have both been on that door.
And they both fit on that door,
They both fit on the fucking door.
Yeah.
Welcome back to another episode of Romancing the Monsters. I'm M.
Hi, I'm S.
I'm Seff.
And this week we are talking about Shadow and Bone, the TV show.
Dun dun dun!
Season 1 just dropped on Netflix, and we weren't sure if we were gonna do this, but turns out the team decided that we were gonna do it. Anyways, let's start with a short synopsis of what the overall story is, or like the premise of the story.
The story starts off with a girl named Alina, and she's going to meet her friend Mal at like the army, like the Rafkin army. And you find out that they were both orphans and that they really only have each other. What happens is she doesn't want to leave Mal because he got chosen to go through the fold, which is this horrifying scar, or like this magical darkness that holds like all these evil creatures inside, and you usually have to cross it in order to get to the other side. And you'd go to other countries or other cities? It's other countries, right?
I think it's both. Because I think one country is, like, divided in two. So, like, you have West Ravka and East Ravka. So, like, that's one country. But then there's the Fjordians or whatever they're called. I don't remember. That's a country. So, like, yeah. But,
and then there's, like, Ketterdam.
Which I don't know what country that is in. Like, I don't think that's a country.
You think it's a city? Yeah, see, I think, personally, one of my gripes, I know I'm getting into soon, is that they didn't really explain places and geography.
Yeah.
And Alina being a cartographer, you would think they would explain, or she would do it. Like,
well, they did explain why, because obviously the fold is not infinite, so they did explain why they can't go on either side, because there's, hostile populations and countries or whatever on either side, so it's like, you can't really cross that way. Because
they did say you could cross it, but it adds so much time to your travel, obviously, because you have to, like, go around it. So yeah, Alina doesn't want to leave Mal alone to traverse through the fold, so she finds a way to get onto the ship as well, by burning maps that, show you what's on the other side. So she gets onto that boat, and things happen. They're attacked by these creatures called the Volcra that live in the fold. And somehow we find out that she has a power that has been long awaited. She's called a sun summoner, and she's a Grisha. So a Grisha is basically someone that holds magical ability. Basically, that's where our story starts, and she is forced to meet the general. His name is General Kerrigan. Mm-hmm. And through that, she ends up journeying to the little palace and having to show the king and queen of her powers. And now she is now known as the chosen one, basically, to save the whole world. Yeah, no pressure there. And then on the other side of the fold, we have 3 interesting characters.
Misfits,
yeah, there you go. Which is Kaz, Inej, and Jesper, and they are tasked with bringing Alina Starkov to Ketterdam, and to this random man that we don't know. He probably wants to kill her. We don't know. What happens is they're offered 1 million Kruga, which is, I guess, $1 million. I don't know the exchange rate between Kruga and dollars. They have to find a way to cross the fold, and once they do that, they encounter some other situations that are quite interesting.
So, What did you girls think of season 1 as a whole? Thoughts, opinions, tomatoes.
You're such a dork.
I'll start. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah?
I went into it without high expectations, but
Yeah.
I ended up loving it.
Did it make you want to read the books?
No. No. Especially, I read the first book of Shadow and Bone, and it was all right.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And then,
When?
like a long time ago. You
Okay.
ended up spoiling the rest of the books for me.
I mean, I'm sorry.
But I asked you. No. I asked you.
I feel like I've spoiled the end of that book out of spite for a lot of people.
But no, I asked you how it ended. I don't feel like reading them.
Even the Six of Crows book?
I started that book years ago, and I think I only read like 6-7 chapters. And it was okay. But no, I don't think I'm going to go back.
What about you, Seff?
Well, I liked it overall. I remember like in the chat, I was like talking to you girls and I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. And that was like when I think I finished the first 3 or 4 episodes. And the only reason being is because I was very confused in the first few episodes to the point where like I didn't know what was going on, because I need to know where I'm at like geographically, and I need to know like characters, and like I don't know, I just don't feel like they did a good job of like introducing the crows, which obviously that would be Jesper, Inej, and Kaz, and I feel like they kind of threw you. I personally thought like they kind of threw you in there expecting you to know everything, and like they just kept throwing names left and right, like Pekka and like this person and that person.
No, but are the crows Jasper, Inej, and company, or was that just like a not like a metaphor, but like a comparison, like, oh, I have my crows and like I care about you guys just as much as I care about my crows, because I do believe that there's actual crows in the books.
Oh, I don't know. All I know is everyone just calls them the crows, and a 6 of crows obviously means the 3 of them plus Matthias, Nina,
and Nina,
and then obviously Jesper's guy that hopefully
Love
comes
interest.
in season 2, and that's the 6 of them. So yeah.
Wylan,
Wylan is his name. Yeah, so that's how I felt. But then I felt like the last 4 episodes, so like 5 to 8, did a really good job of like further explaining things and actually making me understand and like getting me invested. And yeah, so overall I really enjoyed it, but like more so I'm talking about the last 4 episodes.
It's funny because I kind of feel exactly the same, in the sense that the first 4 episodes were really disorienting for me, even as someone who has read the books.
Yeah, you have.
I've read all 3 of the trilogy. And you say you were lost geographically, and I feel like I can sort of understand that. For me, it was like temporality that was really weird in the first 4 episodes. I don't know if you guys noticed, but a lot of the time things were, well, first of all, there's a lot of flashbacks in the first 4 episodes, like a lot, like they're really going hardcore.
Wait, which are you talking about? The damn meadow?
But not just that, there's constantly back and forth between obviously the Kaz, Inej, Jasper crew and Alina's storyline, but the 2 are not happening at the same time, but yet they are showing them at the same time but not telling you. So sometimes you feel like, okay, so this action on one side is happening at the same time as this action on the other side, but turns out in the next scene you realize that no, that was actually like 3 hours ago or the day before. So I was constantly like lost on that front. I was like, I don't know what is happening where, when. But I, like you said, I do feel like from episode 5 on, that stopped. Like, it's like things finally, well, probably because Kaz, Inej, and Jasper were now in the same sort of storyline as Alina and company. So, like, they were all in the same place, doing the same things. Well, no, but you know what I mean? So, I feel like maybe that's what helped. But there was definitely something about how they did the 2 sides of the fold that didn't quite work in the beginning. Like, there was just something from a general audience perspective that didn't work. But I also have like, okay, I want to know, how did you like the actors and the acting?
Okay. This was another gripe of mine. Okay, Ben Barnes, I think, killed it as Kerrigan, let's just talk about the Darkling.
He had that intense look, the raised chin, looking everyone down his nose. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, he killed it. I thought the person who played Inej, Amita,
yes,
she did an
she was
amazing
great.
job.
She was great. Jasper, the guy that did Jasper, is like literally the embodiment of that character, and I don't even know that character.
Okay,
I
so
loved him.
he was my little thing I wanted to say about, talk about. I didn't buy his character, and I don't know if it was the acting or if it was just the character as a whole, but I felt him highly irritating to the point where I wanted to skip his scenes. I just felt like he wasn't a believable jokester, or I don't know. I didn't find him believable. He honestly irritated my whole family.
Yeah.
That is so
That's interesting.
Weird, because for me, Jasper, I was like, oh my god, he's literally perfect for the role. I loved him, I loved his character, I loved the actor.
Did you read that book?
But, no, I didn't read the Six of Crows duology. Okay. But for me, who didn't work and couldn't sell me on the character, was the guy that played Kaz.
Okay, I also thought
I wasn't believing in Kaz, because I was like, I haven't read the duology, so I don't know how that character is supposed to come off as.
Yeah.
But to me, the actor that they chose looks too young, and he was acting it in a way that I wasn't buying his character. I was like, I want to like you, but there's just something off here that I'm not quite liking.
Okay, so the guy who plays Kaz, or was it Kaz? Kaz, sorry.
Kaz.
Freddie Carter, he's actually 28. So I don't know, he looks young too, but do you think it's the characters themselves, because they're supposed to be written for young adult readers? Do you think it's just because their characters are supposed to be young? So that whole idea of them owning a gambling club, or them running that, and also murdering people, do you think because they're so young and because they have such a big presence, do you think that was the reason why you didn't buy into their characters, or buy into his character?
Possibly, but I think just the acting for me, just the actor himself, how he was portraying the character. And again, maybe this is something that the fans of the book would say, no, he was perfect for the role, that's exactly how the character is supposed to come off as. But I don't know, there was something off. What about you?
For me, I think it was, I love him, but I think his acting was a little forced, was Matthias. I think it was probably the accent, the way he
No, he's my favorite!
No, I loved him, but there was, at the beginning, when he was first introduced, there was something that was he needs a little work, or...
No,
I don't know.
I think him and Nina stole the show for me, to be honest.
Yeah,
their chemistry, I thought their acting was really well done. And their scenes were just amazing.
I think I can see what you mean, as I feel like the accent sort of made it harder for him to I don't know if he has an accent in real life or if that was all made up, but I feel like it made it harder on him to act in those scenes. But in a weird way, I feel like the awkwardness of his accent sort of perfectly fit the character, who was kind of that awkward, out of place man that is stuck with this woman who's just completely outside of what he's used to, type of thing. So I feel like in a weird way, yes, I can see your point, and at the same time I'm but it kind of weirdly worked for what he was trying to go for, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah. I also feel kind of along the lines of we were lost as far as the time, the place, etc. I feel like there was a lot of details that the show, kind of like you said, Seff, expected you to know. So one of the things is, and it's kind of all related to Kaz again, I don't know, but there was something about the Kaz character for me. One of those things is the crows, the crow club. I was they never explained to you what that is. They just expect you to know that this is a huge thing when he gives it away to the menagerie woman.
Yeah.
For Inej.
Exactly.
I'm this is supposed to be a huge moment, and I'm sure that for the book lovers, it's oh my god, this is huge. But as general audience, it's okay, like, am I supposed to be sad for him right now? Because we don't know.
I was like, wait, did he own the club? Like, I was just kind of confused.
But what is the club?
Know.
Like, first of all, what the fuck is the like? That's my question. They never tell you. And then on top of that, there was this whole thing, which I love a character that can't or has an aversion to touch, and Kaz has that, but the show doesn't explain it to you. So I wouldn't know this if Twitter hadn't told me ahead of time that this is a thing about his character. But I'm like, I don't want to have to refer back to Twitter in order to understand a character. You know what I mean? So I feel like the scenes where there's a scene where Inej is like hurt and he can't touch her, and like supposedly
and you can see his frustration.
Well, yeah, but like if you don't know that his frustration comes from the fact that he can't touch her, and that's frustrating to him, it's like you don't understand what the fuck he's trying to do. You know, he just looks like, you know, he makes that face. And
taking
like,
his shit.
Why do you have like a stink face right now? Like, it's like, it doesn't make sense.
No, I agree with that. And I don't know if they're saving that for a season 2 reveal or something, but I felt like for the general audience to understand his character a bit more, I feel like that was something that they should have touched upon, or even just have like maybe like teased a bit as to like actually like emphasize his aversion to touch, because like I knew about it, but like I watched it with my parents and my sister, and they're like, wait, why doesn't he just go help her? And it's like, I think it's just because like they didn't do a good job of even like saying it. They never even like use the words to be like, yeah, he can't touch people, because he does like handshakes with people with his gloves, but like all of a sudden he can't touch Inej with the same gloves. So I just kind of was a little bit confused on that front.
On the other hand, it's like, so you have him, which I just felt was sort of his character growth or building or whatever was weirdly done in the show, but then they can do it right, because you have then Inej, who it's like from the start we know she's never killed anyone, and that's like a huge deal because she doesn't want to kill anyone. So then when she does kill someone, you do understand the importance of what she just did and like why she did it in that instance, because she was trying to save him, you know what I mean? So it's like they can sort of do it, but they didn't quite do it for Kaz. It feels like the character was just kind of there, and people just, it feels like the writers just assumed that like people would know, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the Crows storyline was assumption. Like they assumed that the audience would know what's going on with them, and it caused me not to be as invested with their story as I wanted to be, minus Matthias and Nina, because I love them. But yeah, that's how I felt as well.
Man, I wish that storyline had more time
with Nina and Matthias.
Me too.
Yeah. And I think for the Six of Crows, their story, I think I read somewhere that it was kind of like a prequel introduction, like their story.
Okay. That's a question of mine, because I was really confused because, okay, so I may be remembering this completely wrong. I read the trilogy way back. Yeah. Way back. So it's kind of blurry in my head, but I could have sworn that the whole like bone collar thing is a thing of the third novel and not the first one. So felt to me like they were mixing in elements of the different books, but supposedly it's still just the storyline of
the first
Shadow
book.
And Bone. I was so confused. I was like, are they doing all 3 books here? Like, or am I just remembering things wrong and the bone color was a thing from book 1?
Yeah, I am unsure about that, because like I said, I didn't really finish the first book. I have another question though. You've read the trilogy. Did Kaz, Inej, and Jesper, and like, you know, all the rest of the Crows, do they show up in the... Okay.
No.
How did you feel about that?
Well, confused, because, I mean, I didn't know, like, all along I was like, is this the Six of Crows storyline that we're seeing happening here, or is it not?
Yeah.
And my one thing is like, so the thing with the Six of Crows characters, it's like, are they just constantly gonna go on heists? Is that like their only thing? Because their storyline in Six of Crows isn't that like a heist book? And what they did in this one was a heist as well, and like now they're going off on another heist. So I'm like, this is gonna grow old real quick.
But I feel like that was like a baby heist, like an intro baby heist, and then probably like the second season.
Maybe, but
yeah, that was like their first heist, and they haven't, found their other three yet. I mean, they found Nina by the end, but I don't know.
Yeah, so yeah, I kept wondering, like, is this that storyline that's also, like, weaved into the Shadow and Bone? Like, are those books, like, were they always happening at the same time and I just didn't know it type of thing? Like,
yeah, I don't know that either. But I have do you think that that's the end? Like, we won't see any more scenes together with, like, Mal, Alina, Kaz, and Nej? Like, do you think we'll see any, like, crossovers again?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think so.
In the series, yeah.
Feels like that's how they're setting it up. Can we, should we talk about the real thing here? the big issue that's controversial?
What?
The Mal, Alina, Darkling thing?
I'm gonna vomit. Yeah, let's talk about it, I guess.
Okay. Can I preface this by saying, in the books, I hated Mal. He was the most boring ass character I have ever read in any YA. I will say, I think they greatly improved his character.
But that's the thing. They literally improved his character and rewrote his character.
I'm not mad at it though, because I would rather they rewrote a character who in the books came off as like someone who is asking Alina to change who she is and not to embrace who she is.
Yeah.
I like that they made that change because I do think it's important to not have that type of character and then say, hey, here's a love interest who literally hates who you are type of thing and asks you to not be that person. So I'm not, like, I get it from a Darklina point of view, which is what I think we all are at least I think so. Are you a Darklina?
No, she's. Oh, okay. She is. Okay,
she's not. I was like, are you? I get it that it's like upsetting because it's like I think that the show is going in the direction that the books went in. I don't think they're changing that, unfortunately.
I don't think so either.
But at the very least, I think that they made an effort to improve his character, improve their relationship, make it more
palatable.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, they had moments where I was like, okay, because, you know, later on, I think it's like episode 7 or 8 or whatever.
Yeah.
Mal and Alina have this conversation where she's like, are you scared of my powers? Are you scared of me? And Mal is like, no. And he's like, I just want you to be who you are type of thing. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And like, he's very devoted to her. And it's like this sweet friends to lovers. It's not, you know, my favorite, but I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean?
No,
like, I'm not gonna go out in the streets with a pitchfork.
I agree.
I'm still hoping for a redemption, though, or Darkling redemption. I do think that was the potential that was completely lost in the books, and that's the real thing that pisses me off. It's like, you don't have to kill off that character.
Because he's such a great character. Like, he's just such a well-developed character. Okay, we're not talking about the Darkling yet. So, back on the subject of Mal and Alina, I agree with you. I think the show did a good job of, like, I guess, making him more palatable, making him more just there, you know? He's literally just there. But I think they did a good job of showing a relationship between the two, and actually, like, there are some instances where I felt like a bit of, like, pitter-patter in my heart for them, in the sense where, like, they had such a strong bond when they were kids, and, like, that's all they've ever really known. And, like, that they're each other's family because they're both orphans. And I think they did a really good job of, like, developing that and showing that, but I felt like they could have done with a little bit less flashbacks to the middle. But
they
you know
didn't
what?
necessarily have sexual chemistry, I would say. They had chemistry, like friendship chemistry. That was great. But I didn't feel the, like, you know, I want these two to kiss type of.
I kind of felt sibling bond vibes.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just due to the fact that maybe they don't see each other romantically as of yet. I think Alina does, but then what happens with the Darkling kind of just pushes that away. And maybe in season 2 and season 3, maybe they will have that chemistry, because maybe strictly right now they're just sibling / friend right now.
But don't
to
you
each
feel
other.
like that's kind of ridiculous? Like, at least from my point of view, it seems like both of them are like pining for each other type of thing. But I'm like,
Yeah.
if you drag this out, I'm not gonna believe it, because they literally, like, they're at the point where they would kiss. I'm not like cheering them on from the sidelines, because I'm not feeling the sexual chemistry between them.
Yeah.
But I can see that, like, from the character's point of view, I think that that's what they want to do. So I'm like, if you drag this out, I'm not gonna believe it. What's standing in their way? Literally nothing. That's like the whole point of loving enemies to lovers. Is like there's so much between the characters that is stopping them from actually doing the damn thing they want to do. But in this case, it's like, girl, just go for it. Like, what's stopping you? Clearly he loves you. He literally, like, traveled all over the world for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I think it's just like, what I think is that she developed real strong feelings for Mr. Alexander there, that she was like, actually, I have strong feelings, so I'm gonna have to work through that myself, and then I'll look at Mal.
Yeah. They have me wanting just a great friendship. Like, male-female friendship that doesn't turn sexual. That's the energy they give me. It's
do you
like,
really think,
I'm here for this. Besties,
do you really think Leigh Bardugo would let that happen?
No, because she hates the Darkling.
Yeah. And she would want Melina to happen.
Oh, she's the number one Melina stan. She made it happen in her own books, so...
Yeah. Exactly. So that's why I think obviously they will happen. But I honestly, like you said, they don't have sexual chemistry, which makes me think they'll force them to be together despite them not having that chemistry. But again, it's something that could be worked on, and, you can develop that, I guess. Speaking of couples and chemistry, though, I might be in the minority here, but I did not think Inej and Kaz had any chemistry whatsoever.
Yeah, no. I didn't feel it either.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And
I'm really sad, because I really wanted to ship them. And I do, I ship their characters, but I wish they had that chemistry.
I think the only reason why I would say I'm still rooting for them is because it is complex between them. Like, there are, like, that's I think this bottom line is why I don't like Friends to Lovers. It's like, I like relationships in books that have a sort of complexity to them. It's like they want something, but they can't because XYZ thing is stopping them from doing it, type of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even though obviously Kaz and Inej are not like enemies to lovers or anything, there are things standing between them that are stopping them from actually going there. And so I'm still like rooting for them, because I'm like, I do want them to get over those things. I mean, we talk about the monsters all the time. Like, that's that for me. Like, it's that thing that's standing between them. But I agree with you that, like, I don't necessarily think that they had chemistry on that front. But if I, forget about chemistry and stuff, like, just purely just the characters as they are, and, like, the idea of them, I guess, is interesting. Like, I'm into it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the relationship has many facets and, like, many sides to it that I honestly think, hopefully without the chemistry, that they're able to portray a very good relationship. And I think they will. I think they have the ability to do that. And especially, I love the girl who plays Inej, Amita. I think she's amazing. So,
because it's so interesting. Like, obviously, Kaz sort of owns her in a way, and he's got to pay off that thing, because then, like, obviously I don't think they will enter like a proper relationship until that's done.
No, I was just gonna say they also need to overcome their past traumas.
Also, his touch, like, he can't touch her. That's obviously not easy in a relationship. So, like, I like those things. I'm interested in those things. Like, I'm rooting for the actors to, like, figure out chemistry between them, because I want to be like, yes.
Because whenever Matthias, whatever his name, how do you say it? How do you pronounce it?
I think it's with a H, Matthias.
Matthias? Okay, whenever Matthias and Nina came on, my smile just like, it just popped. Like, I just couldn't stop watching the screen with those two. And like, same with like the Darkling and Alina, I couldn't stop watching them because of that magnetic chemistry.
I fucking loved Nina. Like, she is my favorite kind of character.
She's so great.
Female character. I don't know if this is weird, but I was like, she would be great in like an Immortals After Dark TV series.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
the perfect dose of like fiery, but like badass, but like ladylike, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like,
trying to corrupt Mr. like virgin boy that's so close-minded. I love her. Yeah, I agree with that. She would so suit Immortals After Dark.
Casting the Immortals After Dark TV series starting now. Can we talk about, maybe we should probably talk about Alina as a character? Like, she's probably the main character. We haven't really said anything. How did you feel about her? Silence. Crickets.
Crickets. I feel like she was great. I don't think I have anything, like, not bad to say about her.
You have anything good to say about her? I'm kidding.
You were so mean.
No, I was just asking. I don't hate her, guys, okay?
You sure?
Sure.
I don't. I honestly, I don't. I just wanted to say that.
No, I feel like she was a great character. Do you have issues with her? Was there any, like, little issue that you had? Marge?
Yeah, what did you think about her? Again, crickets.
Okay, for me, even in the books, Alina was never the most interestingly constructed character.
Mm-hmm.
However, and maybe this is my Darklina side coming out, but I do feel like she's most interesting when she's with the Darkling.
Yes.
Like, that whole phase, and I would say the same with the books, like, that whole phase of the story where she's sort of starting to learn about her powers and she's sort of feeling really
alone.
What's the word I'm looking for? No, like, she's feeling very
overwhelmed. Why am I trying to read your mind?
well, please read my mind because I can't think of the word. No, she's feeling powerful and like
confident.
Yes, we'll go with that. It's not the word I was looking for, but it will work. She's, like, she's sort of building a sort of confidence in herself and who she is. She's discovering a new part of herself. She's sort of exploring that darkness. She's got, like, that exciting thing on the side with, like, the Darkling and, like, ooh, the potential of what we could do together, of this new life that I never imagined for myself because I never would have had access to it before.
Yeah.
That's the interesting part for me with her character. That's where, for me, she shines. And I'm like, yes, here I'm fully on board. Everywhere else, I'm like, I mean, you're there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just... Yeah. And I don't want to hate because I don't think she's a bad character. I think maybe it's just not the type of character that I personally connect with or find interesting in my literature. But,
You've literally said what I wanted to say, and that's all I don't think of her as a bad character. I just don't think her an interesting character for me, like, in my opinion. She's a great girl. Like, she is honestly, like, a great person, and like everyone, she struggles with that darkness. And in this case, it's a person for her. And yeah, I mean, like, that's literally all I could say about her, and I don't want to repeat what Marge said, but that's exactly what I felt.
Speaking of you saying she's a great person, I do have a question. Episode 1, she learns that Mal has been put on the skiff that's going to cross the fold, and so she burns the maps to be put on the fold too, on the skiff too, so that she would be with Mal.
Yeah.
What happens is that puts all of her crew on the skiff as well in danger, and some of them die.
Yeah, most of
How
them
did
die.
you feel about that? Because I was like, that is a bold ass move, because you're starting off the season that way. Like, this is our heroine, and she starts off killing everyone off because she wanted to be with her boyfriend that's not her boyfriend.
But she didn't
Yikes.
know.
Well, she didn't know, sure, but like, she didn't know. That's true. That is true.
Yeah, she just honestly thought she would be the only one going on that skiff. And that sadly wasn't the case.
But she didn't try to stop, though. She didn't try to stop the crew.
But it doesn't even feel like she really regretted it afterwards.
No.
And that's my issue. Like, if we had like a scene where you see just how heavy the regret and like
the
that
guilt.
maybe she's blaming her and she's blaming herself for the death of her crew because she knows that she's the reason why they were put on the thing.
I agree.
But no, there's almost like a smile on her face before they board the skiff. Obviously she doesn't know that they're gonna die, but like she learns that all her crew is gonna be on the skiff too, and then someone says they're walking together and someone says like, how did this happen? Like and there's almost like a smile on her face, and I'm like, girl, you know this is dangerous. That's the whole reason why you wanted to be on the skiff with Mal, because you know it's dangerous. And then turns out all your crew's going and like smiling. I don't know. Like I needed a moment.
It was a bit of a selfish
It came off that
moment.
way.
And even after when everyone kind of died, like you said, there wasn't really a scene after that too for her to like show her guilt, and like the only reason why they were on that skiff was because of her. And I don't think this show, at least like what I'm remembering, I don't know if they really showed the after effect of things. Like they never even showed Alina's like reaction when she's alone.
They did. Oh, you mean concerning the crew dying?
No. Like that, but also like with the Darkling after the fact. Like they showed her like
they do. I have a note on that. Like when she first enters her room that first night in the little palace, she burst into tears, and that was clearly like overwhelmed, just emotions catching up with her.
I'm talking like when she finds out that the Darkling is in fact the Darkling and he's a black heretic.
Yes. No, I agree with that.
All she said to Mal was, Mal, I made some stupid decisions in the little palace, and that was it. And he's like, oh, don't worry, I don't need any answers from you. And that was it.
I do like that Mal said that. I do like that Mal is like, you don't need to explain yourself to me, because that's not Book Mal. Book Mal will be like, why the fuck did you do that, you dumbass hoe? You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't be like that. So I was like, okay, points for you, Mal.
I liked that Mal said that. But she never, she doesn't owe him anything because you guys are like just friends. You're her brother.
And this is not the actors, obviously. I do think that the writing did not let the characters process their emotions enough, because the pace was just going too fast. Even, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but even in the part where the Darkling's backstory is happening, like his love just died and he's all like, you know, emotional, but then like cut to next scene and obviously she just died still, but then he's talking to his mom and it's like he doesn't sound like anything's really happening. So I'm like, clearly the writing, something's wrong.
So that was confused on that part. Was it his lover?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess so.
I think. Okay, like you said, Marge, he didn't show any like reaction to that. I think for like Ben Barnes, I think it could have been like the way he acted that scene, but it was all in like his little like facial expressions. Like he has little instances where like little like minute facial expressions that portray like his emotions, and like you could see like the devastation after like he realized she was dead. And I think he perfected that, but the other actors did not.
No, right after, yes, it's with the mom. When he's talking to his mother, I feel like the writing didn't let him.
Because he's full of anger at that point. Because think about it. It's like, you won this war for this king. All of a sudden, he's coming to attack you and kill you. And then you're like, what the hell? I need to protect my people. And like, his mom is like, you're the only one that can do it because you're the only one that has that power. So he takes on.
He's like, he goes to his mom's room, he sits on her bed, all like, you know, cozy and stuff. They have this like calm conversation together. I'm like, boy, did your lover just die? Or like, because you were crying 5 seconds ago and now you're acting normal. And again, I don't think this is Ben Barnes' fault. I think it's the writing. Because why did the writers have to put that scene that way and have that dialogue that makes it sound or makes it really difficult for the actor to still be grieving while supposedly having a normal conversation with someone?
I mean, I could see that, but I honestly think that they kind of portrayed what they could in the time that they were given for the flashback. But I do agree. I think a lot of scenes moved quickly and you don't see a lot of reactions from the characters themselves, because like I don't know, like even back to the crows, you don't really see Ineja's reaction. Like she mentions it and like she kind of talks about it, about like, you know, Kaz giving away his club like as collateral to Helen, like the menagerie person, and like we don't really see like her reaction, and I think it's because of the show's pacing. They tried to fit too much.
It's a balance, and like a show like this that's like fantasy, and you have to balance the fantasy action and then the characters. I do think that they haven't quite reached the balance yet. It was more heavy on the like, here's action than like, here's a, you know, moment of this character just being themselves, you know, and just living their emotions and processing them and stuff.
Yeah.
Which I do feel is like something that oftentimes in action movies and stuff I just miss out on. Like, I'm here for the characters. This is what's interesting to me. Like, I need to see them be human and not just like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's why I just love reading fantasy, because I feel like they obviously have enough pages to portray, you know, reactions or like emotions and emotional depth that sometimes TV shows and movies just can't portray.
Can we talk about can we talk about that kiss? Let me just tell you, I know the show is like, oh, Melina, blah, blah, blah. Did Melina kiss?
No.
Did Darklina kiss? Twice. Yes. Thrice if you count that, like, comeback kiss when that
he improvised!
He improvised that kiss.
I know!
I was like, okay, Ben Barnes. I'm here for this.
Okay, how about we talk about Darklina as a whole? Because I think they had such great scenes.
They did.
And I think you could chalk it up to him manipulating her, but I don't think he was manipulating her for most of it.
At least not in the beginning. It didn't seem that way in the beginning.
In the beginning, yes, it did.
No,
but I think he got to know her.
It did or it didn't? You guys are saying two different things.
Shit. I heard it did. I think at the beginning, like when they first met, I think, he was manipulating her. But then as he got to know her, I think he realized that, wait, we actually are very similar. And he ended up bonding with her in a way I don't think he ever planned to bond with her. But you said it didn't seem like that in the beginning.
At least for me, it didn't seem that way in the beginning. Later on, it did. It seemed very manipulative. Once he didn't get his way or whatever.
I feel like I agree with this. I feel like he's just... I do think he's being manipulative towards the end, but he's a villain. Like, what else do you expect him to be? You know what I mean? But...
yeah.
I do think that his manipulative ways at that point come from his disappointment and anger that this is happening again and again and again, and like no one is ever on his side, which, you know, is a villain thing.
What I'm talking about, like in the beginning it didn't feel genuine and like it was more manipulation, is like when they met in the tent and then going up to like the scene when they're like taking a rest from the horse. Like up until that point I don't think was genuine. It was like actual manipulation. And then later on, I think after that scene where he tells her she's not alone, I think he recognizes, like in that scene itself, he recognizes their uniqueness and their ability to be like, why are you smiling?
Because I know that S is not gonna understand, but fuck, they had a "you are not alone, neither are you" fucking scene.
I know! I literally jumped out of my chair and I was like, what the hell? This is me and my ship dynamic.
I was like, not again. Not again.
Yeah, that was me. But yeah, up until that point, I think when she finally like confided in him, that's when that shift happened. And I think he still tried to be manipulative, but he kind of couldn't do that because he felt that bond with her growing. And then afterwards, when it didn't go to plan, like you girls said, I think honestly it was just like a shunned lover being angry and disappointed and just like he just looks at the unfairness of it.
Make me your villain. It's a good line. It's
such a good line. It's such a good line.
I'm like, fuck yes, I'm making you my villain.
Yeah. He was so hot. And like the way he delivered Ben Barnes, the way he delivered that line, oh my gosh.
But, okay, I do have a question though on the Darklina front. Because the books feel very much like haha, you thought this was a good character. Well, no, little girl, you should never go for that dark man because blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, very, like, trying to be more realistic in that way and, like, tell you what you should like and what you shouldn't like because you're bad for wanting that. Did you feel like that came across in the show as well? Because I think I do.
You think it did?
Like I think it did a little bit. Like, in some parts towards, like, the last 3 episodes, I was like, stop telling me I don't need to like this character. I don't know. I got, like, a little frustrated on that front.
I didn't pick up on that.
I didn't feel that. I mean, I felt it at home with my dad.
What did your dad say?
Sephra, this is not the kind of man you should love.
Yeah, you always like the villain and they always end up dying. And I was like,
Dad, let me live.
Yeah, I was like, Dad, man, just let me live. Let me love. Let me love who I want to love.
At least he was saying it, you know, because they always die. So he was just caring for you because he knows you're going to be brokenhearted again.
Yeah, he had to live through the Ben Solo grief process with me. Me constantly crying, randomly shedding tears on the couch, and my parents like, what the hell?
I feel like the only moment where I didn't feel that way, and I was like, okay, maybe this is like residual
from the book?
Feelings from the books that I'm feeling and not necessarily the show, is because they chose specifically, and I thought this was an interesting choice. They chose to put his backstory of how the fold was created in episode, I think it was 7?
Yeah, it was 7. Episode 7.
So this is really late. You know, they could have done it in the beginning and then, you know, you sort of forget about it because, you know, you think that he's sort of a good guy or just trying to get something done or whatever. You don't think he's evil and blah, blah. But no, they chose to put his backstory in the episodes where he's slowly degrading into more and more evil. So that made me sort of think, okay, maybe they put it there because they know that you're going to start disliking him. So they want to remind you, like, there's more to this character than just that.
Yeah. How I saw it was episode 5, like the end of episode 5 is when you discover, oh my gosh, he is the Darkling. He is the black heretic that created the fold. He's this big villain, rah, rah, rah. And then I think they included the flashback. I honestly was not expecting any flashbacks at all in this season.
Me either.
And I think of him. And I think it was on purpose. I think they still want you to sympathize and empathize with this character when they showed you that in episode 7. Because it was episode 8 that he puts the collar on, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I think the whole reason...
end of episode 7.
Oh, end of episode 7. Okay. So, like, I think the reason why the flashback was in there so that we see his story and, like, we see his struggle and, like, how far he's turned and, like, what he's gone through and what he constantly goes through. So you empathize with his character. That's literally it. And I think the show, I don't know if it was just me watching as someone who didn't read the series. Like, I've only read a part, like, I don't know, like 3/4 of the first book. So I honestly saw his character, like, he was a villain for sure. Like, he was manipulative. He, like, hurt Alina in ways that, like, obviously, you know, you shouldn't hurt someone you love in that way. But I saw him more as, like, a political leader. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, his actions were politically justified.
I don't think he loves her at that point. I think he wants her. He's fascinated by who she is and what she could bring him, and he wants that. But I don't think he's actually in love. And I think that's the whole reason why he's still villainous towards her.
Okay, I thought that up until the point where he tells Mal, it might take 50 years, but I know she will forgive me. I think just the idea of him wanting her forgiveness, for me, shows that he feels strong feelings for her. Maybe it might not be love, like you said, not yet. But he has that, like, mentality that, like, I need to earn her forgiveness. And, like, obviously, like, it doesn't go according to plan, which is why he, retaliates and tells her, fine, make me your villain. And continues to, like, is it backlash? Like, give her backlash? I don't know what I'm trying to say. But, like, he continues to, like, lash out, there you go, in ways that continue to hurt her. Because of his shunned lover mentality.
I don't think that that's how I read that line. Even if it takes 50 years, she'll forgive me. I think that was like him being really arrogant and being like, she'll forget what I did because that's what they always do type of thing, and like she'll have no choice because she'll have only me by that point. I think he's still very much in like his villainous state of mind, because to me, the pining hero who wants forgiveness and knows that he's got to earn it, knows that the actions will come from him. What he says is still very much, she will forgive me. And he's not saying, I'm planning to change who I am, I'm planning to do better, I'm planning to do this. Yeah. It's still very much like, she will forgive me, not I will earn that forgiveness.
True.
So I don't think that comes from a place of love. I still think it comes from a place of I want you type of thing. Mm-hmm. I think that when he gets there, if they change that and they make him go there, I don't know, let's just, live in this Darklina fantasy that it's happening.
Let's put it out there. Let's hope that it does.
Let's put it out there. That's right.
Changuitos, let's hope that it happens.
If it does, I do think that we will need to see that shift from I want this and you will give it to me to I need this and I will earn it.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah. But then I honestly think it comes from Ben Barnes' acting, though. Because, like, if you just, like, rewatch the scene where, like, they're talking about the collar, like, he's heartbroken. Like, his emotions when he realizes he's not getting her forgiveness.
He had a little moment. I saw that.
He is tearing up. He is crying. And, like, his hand, like...
He's like, I don't want to do this.
Like, it's so bad. But, like, when she puts his hand on her collar that he forced into her skin, and, like, she pulls away, his hand is still there. Like, it's kind of just, like, hanging there, like, still touching, like, the ghost of her chest or whatever. And, like, his forehead is all scrunched up, and he's tearing up. And, like, damn, that's why I feel like the Darkling loves her, because of Ben Barnes' acting ability.
But I also feel like in a screwed up way for the Darkling, like this is a connection between them, which he craves. Like he craves someone who understands them and who he feels connected with. And because at that point she refused the connection with him, he's sort of imposing it on her, and like he doesn't want to. I don't think he does. He definitely has like a moment in his eyes where you see that this is not how he planned it to be, but in a screwed up way he's like, but then I'll be connected to her again type of thing, like she'll be mine again type of thing.
I hate that makes me weak, and I know that it's wrong.
I know. I mean, girl, we've talked about Lothair, of all people, on this podcast. I think we're fine. Actually, the Lothair episode has not come out by the time this comes out, but not. You'll see. You'll see.
It has not. But I don't know where I want to like go with this. I just feel like he's just a man that's lived for so long, and like we've talked about immortality enough times on this podcast. And we know that being immortal and not, like, having an expiration date or, like, you don't know when you're going to die. Like, it kind of skews your more, like, I guess, morality. And, like, you no longer value the same things that a mortal would. And I just feel like he is very much skewed in his moral compass. And that's due to the fact of, like, everything that's happened and, like, how many lives he's lost. Like, I don't know. And I don't know if it's just his genuine thinking that he's doing something that's right.
The thing is, those characters don't make me want to be manipulated by them. They make me want to be bad with them. That's, like, a huge difference.
That's your villain fucker talking, okay?
I'm a villain fucker, all right? Like,
yeah, girl, same.
I'm proud of it, all right?
Yeah.
I'm unapologetic. But I do think that that's a difference. I feel like that's a huge difference that people don't necessarily understand when, like, they don't understand the whole, like, oh, I love villains thing. No shame to Alina, but I'm just not her.
Exactly. Although, Alina did say, you never gave me a choice. And, like, that was a problem. I honestly think she would have went with him and sided with him and, like, made Darkling babies with him if he explained his plans, because she had said we could have had this if only you trusted me. Like, I don't know if she said if you trusted me, but they could have had that if he let her in. And I think that's when he started realizing, oh, like, I fucked up. Like, I fucked up big because I could have had her.
So I think that was a moment that you were talking about, Seff, where like his acting, where he was just kind of.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
If he had told her his plan from the start, and they had gone on their merry way, do you think he would have agreed to destroy the fold? Because I think yes, and I think that the whole reason why he tries to expend it is because once again someone who he thought was on his side turned against him. But otherwise, I think that had he been honest with her and explained it, and had she, you know, stayed with him and stuff, I think that together they would have destroyed it. I think that he wouldn't have seen a need for it to stay because he now has someone on his side, and that's enough for him.
I agree. I honestly 100% agree. If he had spoken the truth and confided in her and let her in, they might have been, you know, doing things a bit differently. Because, okay, look at his motive. Like, his ultimate goal isn't bad. He is not at all, like, what he envisions for his people, the Grisha, isn't bad. He doesn't want them to get, like, slaughtered. He doesn't want them to, like, become, like, prisoners or whatever. Like, he doesn't want them to die. He wants to protect his people, and his people are the Grisha. And it's not a bad, like, end goal to have. He wants to protect his people. And he sees Zlatan, like, the leader of, like, whatever country that was, trying to kill Alina. And, like, he honestly is like, what the hell? I'm gonna kill you. And obviously, yeah, he ends up expanding the fold and killing innocent people, sure. But he ends up killing the one person that's been threatening the life of the person he seems to want to spend the rest of his life with.
Love how you shrugged that off.
No, I mean, it's sad. Poor Zoya. Her family obviously died in that fold expansion. Can you stop laughing?
Zoya?
I was just trying to make a point that
you're making the point. Keep
okay.
making the point.
I was just saying his end goal wasn't bad. It's just the way he went about it was not the greatest.
I mean, that's villains to a T. It's just they usually have a pretty decent end goal. They're just going about it in the wrongest of ways. Because and that's an interesting thing I thought about the show. It's like no one is really right. Yeah. No one is in the right. It's obvious that, you know, the non-Grisha are, you know, sort of trying to oppress the Grisha and, like, you know, treating them as monsters or as, you know, lesser than, or animals, I think at some point someone even said. So from that point of view, you understand the Darkling's, you know, perspective, because you're like, well, yeah, you want to protect your people because you're sick and tired of them being killed off, and plus this, you know, all your life, your thousands and thousands of years, you've been used by king after king after king, and then they never gave back in return and kept on treating you like shite. I get that. But then you also understand, obviously, that, like, he's doing it completely wrong, and, like, so I liked the ambiguity that was there, and I thought that was well done, because you do see both sides, and you do see that both sides are in the wrong and doing the wrong things and going about it wrongly. So I do appreciate a little ambiguity.
Yeah. And, like, okay, for me, I'm going back to, like, the end scene in episode 8, where he kind of collects all of these world leaders, or, like, people of, like, other courts in other countries, and puts them on a skiff. And then they end up witnessing the power of the Grisha. And at first, it's, like, it scares them, and, like, it kind of makes them, like, take a step back. But, like, that was on purpose. He wanted them to fear the Grisha. And it kind of sucked that it backfired on him, because it was a good plan. It would have caused other countries and other factions of people to take a step back and not attack, you know, the Grisha. And it was a smart plan until, you know, shit hit the fan and, you know, they all died. And he was like, gotta do this demonstration again. Ugh. You know, he kind of got mad, obviously.
I remember that scene, because I remember thinking, because, like, his whole speech, I was like, yes, this is great. Makes sense. It makes perfect sense what you're doing. I get it. And then he went just, like, one step further, and I was like, oh. Where he says, like, and now we will rule all of you type of thing. And I was like, that was one step too far. That's the villain speaking, because everything before I was like, yeah, I'm on board with this. This makes sense. This is totally reasonable.
But then it also comes from like an immense like hatred for like people without powers because of how his people were treated. I'm not justifying him. I'm just trying to.
We're totally justifying him. It's
I
fine.
know.
He's fictional.
I'm just trying to like.
No one really died, everyone. No one died. No one is
they
real.
all died brutally, and I'm sorry for that.
They're not
honestly
real.
My heart goes out, and like I'm sorry for your families. I am sorry, but all I'm saying is his plan was just. It honestly made sense, and for him to protect his people, and obviously, like, imagine all of your people like dying and like brutally slaughtered in the street. Like, of course you're gonna be hateful towards like the people that, you know, I guess their descendants, you know, they're the reason why this stuff happened, and this is why there's a segregation between the Grisha and like the people that are not magical. And like I understand it. And then Alina and her gang kind of indirectly caused more years of this war because of like how that situation was handled. I'm not justifying the Darkling. I don't know what I'm doing. Just delete this whole talk.
Well, I am, and I don't care.
Embrace it,
I just want to point out that he's not. Have you noticed that he is good towards his people?
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's not bad towards them. He's
not
a
good, but he's
general.
not bad. He's only bad when he's angry about Alina.
He treats them right. I mean, that whole scene with David, when David is like raising his hand and he's like, this is so dumb,
yeah,
but he's like, yes,
so
David. Like, you see that like he cares about his people. He's not like full on evil where he's torturing them for the sake of it and like
exactly.
being like, ha, I am the leader of everyone and everything.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what he's doing. He's like,
and clearly he's not
people.
He's not a dictator because he could have ignored David. I know it's a small thing. He could have ignored David, but he didn't.
We love David.
And he even listens to like that cute guy. What's his name? Fyodor,
yeah.
Whatever his name is. He even listens to that guy's like, you know, spew nonsense most of the time until like, you know, he's trying to find Alina and he's like, shut up, just tell me what you know. That's it. That's like, I feel like the worst thing he's ever done or said to his people. Minus like, Alina.
And like Nina goes missing, and like you can see he's like genuinely worried about what might have happened to Nina. Like I don't see him as being, you know, as mistreating his people or in any way, shape, or form, or abusing his authority over them. Like I do think he's a good general.
I do have a question though. Like the whole Genya plot. You know, like she's very much on the Darkling side. Like she supports him, and like obviously he like looks out for her. But then Alina says something along the lines of like you don't know what you've put her through, like with the king. But like that's not really his fault of like the king's actions, right? Like what was the king really doing to her? Was he like, you know,
raping her?
Yeah.
Using her? Right?
I think he was raping her. Yeah, I don't think that was his fault. I think okay, from what I've gathered with what I just said, the way he treats his people, etc., I do think that how it probably went down was he gave her a choice. You could become this and become a spy for me. And the way that she explains it is, I had no choice. You would have done the same thing in my place. I had to become this because I had, in the sense that she had no choice, like, she had to, and how would he know that type of thing? Like, I don't think it's on him. I think she made that choice, and, you know, to save herself, she's fine with it. Yeah.
So what do you think, this is going back to Alina in the beginning where she kind of gets everybody on the skiff, all her friends, and she doesn't seem like guilty. But yeah, she's kind of being harsh on Genya.
True.
Like,
look at us spitting out facts.
Yeah.
Bitch was being a little selfish, and she was being really hard on Genya, but she doesn't really know the deep, like, what went on with her growing up. You know?
Yeah, that is so true, S.
I think that by the end of that conversation, Alina had sort of realized that she was sort of being harsh on someone without really needing to be or whatnot, but I don't know. That's true. That is true.
I feel like in a lot of cases, you look at other people's actions more harshly than your own. So I honestly don't even think she made that connection with what she did with her own cartography people and the Darkling and Genya and everyone else, like every other spy that he's in, like put in places. Like I honestly don't think she's made that connection.
Moving on from the Darkling, sadly, I do want to point out there was this like interesting conversation between Kaz and Inej about faith and should it change or impact their mission or not. How did you feel about that conversation? Because I thought it was really interesting to have that in the show, to have someone who has the faith and like is like, this is what's the word I'm looking for, interfering with my job and I can't do it anymore. And Kaz was really like, there's no such thing, like you're just being ridiculous, we gotta get this done, like just be realistic, blah blah blah. How did you feel about that conversation?
I mean, I didn't see it bad. I liked the fact that there was someone that didn't quite believe, and then kind of towards the end he kind of realized, like, you know what, like he kind of became a believer in a way.
I liked seeing, I think I liked seeing the two different sides of it, and I liked seeing Inej like such a strong believer. Despite everything that's happened to her, she's still such a strong believer in the faith. And you know, I feel like in a lot of situations and in a lot of books, movies, TV shows, you don't really see a lot of people that are strong with their belief in their faith. And I think it was really great to see that for Inej, despite everything that happened to her. But then you have the other side of Kaz, who, because of everything that's happened to him, he no longer believes in like anything. And he only believes in himself and Inej and in Jesper, and that's it. And I think that's interesting to have the two characters like that interact and talk about faith and talk about why Alina is important and what she stands for is important. And I liked that they did that between the two of them.
Yeah, that was exactly what I thought. Like, I think it's interesting and important to see that because that's just the real world. And I feel like oftentimes in the real world it's like two people will argue, you know, one has faith in whatever religion and someone else doesn't, and then it just goes up in flames. You know, it's just so I liked how they did it, where it wasn't like, yeah, sure, there was a little bit of a cold between them for like half a second, but they were capable of like moving on and moving past and being like, you know what, like we're just gonna be different on that front. Which I guess later on Kaz was like, oh, I believe, but like, you know, like I liked that was there. And I agree that it's not something we see often, and I think that we could learn a thing or two from that. I like that it was there. I just wanted to mention it because I don't know, like I wasn't expecting a conversation about faith and you know. And
I also liked that they both listened to one another and like they didn't judge one another about their lack of faith or their, you know, the value they put in their faith. So yeah, I really liked that. And I like how it was handled.
I like the scene where the Darkling, when they're with the king and the queen, and then Alina shows her power, and then Kaz is like, there's like, you're gonna see the reflecting lights with the chandelier, and then she kind of looks at it and she moves away, and then towards the end, like once Alina does her thing, everybody goes Santa Alina. Like, I got chills during that scene.
Yeah, because it was like,
she had like tears in her eyes.
And look at my man, Darkling, like introducing her like that.
And the way he didn't even like close his eyes and he just watched her in all of her sunlighty glory. I was like, damn.
He was in awe of her.
I mean, come on. Like, just seeing a man get a hard on for a powerful woman. Come on. Like, there's nothing that beats that.
Yeah.
You know what had me laughing? And I know I shouldn't have been laughing at that point. Okay, you know when he left and then Alina and Baghra had their discussion about him being the black heretic and she like dips and leaves? This man, when he comes in, still thinks she's there, obviously. This man goes to his bedroom and is actually like smirking. Did he think she was in there or something? It was honestly like, I was dead. He had an actual smirk on and I was dying.
Like, no, she left.
Yeah, you're not gonna get laid. I'm sorry.
That was funny.
I mean, after that kiss, I'd be like, Bagra, I'm sorry, but I'm not that good.
Yeah.
I'm going back. So yeah, anyway, that whole sequence was great.
It was great, but also sad when you realized she's gone. But I mean, justifiably, she had to leave. I understand it.
We could have gotten a sex scene. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, just fit in a sex scene before Bagra, shits on our parade. Like, come on.
Like, just
they were almost there. They were, like, on the war table room, whatever, and legs were going places and hands were going places. A hand touched a boob. I didn't notice
He grabbed her titty real hard. And I love that he asked for consent, too. He's like, are you sure? Anyways. Oh, wait, are we not done yet?
Well, I just wanted to mention a very funny scene. Did you notice that Matthias and Nina were completely laughing in the face of Rose and Jack in that water with the door? I was like, is this a Titanic redo? Like, we're laughing like we could have both been on that door.
And they both fit on that door,
They both fit on the fucking door.
Yeah. All of their scenes were so good. I rewatched it I rewatched all of their scenes all the time.
How did it make sense? Like, how could he swim, quote unquote swim, in this like ocean that's like stormy and shit? I was like, they ain't going nowhere.
They weren't even moving. I was dying. But I was like, you know what, Matthias, you swim. I'll just admire. Yeah. All right.
That was funny.
One thing to end this off. I just had a question. If you were a Grisha, what power would you want?
Ooh.
And to remind you, there's the corporality, which includes the heart renders, the ethereality.
Are you sure you want to say the names?
Actually, no, I won't. So this includes, like, the elements, like the airbending and the fire people and all that. And and then there's the materiality, which like includes like David.
Make things, yeah.
Yeah,
Makers.
with like the fabricators and all of that.
Yeah.
So what power would you like?
Wait, are we allowed to be a sun summoner or shadow summoner too?
I mean, I would love to be a shadow summoner, but I don't know.
If not, I would want to be.
I want to be part of the Fire Nation, so I get Zuko. Oh wait,
Zuko.
Wrong series.
We're so on brand. Or like a heart render. I feel like I'd like to be a heart render.
They're really cool. Yeah.
Like a seductress, Ella Nina. That's who I want to be.
I think whatever Jenya is, she's a corporal.
She's a tailor, so she was a corporality.
To have her powers to go and fix up makeup and like.
I feel like I'd get obsessed.
Yeah, I think I'd be like, too into my appearance.
I would forget my own face,
I don't know. I thought that was cool though, that she was able to change faces and all that.
I don't know. I mean, like, it could be a good thing, but it also, it could be a bad thing. But can I also just say one thing I didn't like at all in those scenes was Alina never showered or never took a bath. And when she did take a bath that one time, she didn't even scrub her skin or even wash her hair.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a proper bath. It was just kind of like
I was so mad.
Arms.
I was like, wash your damn head!
I don't know. If anything bothered me, it was like that scene when Jenya is putting makeup on her and then she puts eyeshadow and she's like, no. And she takes it off and I'm like, what is this trying to say? Like, oh, you're better off without it? Like, true beauty, blah, blah, blah. I was like, bitch, just put the makeup on. Like,
I think it's because Olga shouldn't blend the eyeshadow. It looked like she just, like, plopped it on and it was just, like, a little, like, half, like, moon, like, crescent on her eye. And, like, there was no, like, soft edges, like, no blending into, like, the eyelid. And I was like, girl, take that off. Any last questions anyone had? I'm done. I don't think I had anything else.
I mean, I had, like, what would you want to see happen next? But I feel like we kind of answered that, so.
Darklina 2022, let's go.
It's gonna happen.
All right. So, I think that's gonna be it for our Shadow and Bone review. If you have any thoughts, anything you want to add to, anything you want to explain, because maybe we just didn't,
question?
I just wanted to know.
Yes, David. She was raising her head.
I wanted to know if you'd like to rate it out of a 10. The show and total.
Sure. Can we do like a to F instead?
A to F?
Yeah, like A+, A-, A, B+.
A letter grade?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
A B+, a strong B+.
All right. I'd give it a B. Strong, like solid B, just B.
I think I'd give it an A-.
Okay, so we got an A-, a strong B+, and a strong B.
Yeah.
And like a 9. I think that maybe A- would kind of equal like a 9, 9.5 maybe.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I wouldn't give it like more than a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I gave mine a 7. Like a 7.5 for the ending episode.
The score, I would give it a 9 out of 10. I really like.
Oh my gosh, yes, the music was so beautiful for that show. I downloaded it already. It's on Spotify.
Yeah, I got it on YouTube. I got the playlist. I'm like, yes, this is great. Thank you very much. Ambiance for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So I hope you enjoyed our discussion of Shadow and Bone Season 1. If you have anything you would like to add, anything you want to explain to us, feel free to contact us online. You can find us on Twitter at @TheRTMPod or on Instagram at Romancing the Monsters Podcast. You can also email us at romancingthemonsterspodcast@gmail.com. And we also have a TikTok, which is Romancing the Monsters Pod, which we're doing tons of recommendations and stuff over there. So feel free to go check it out and give us a follow. And you can also find me online on both Twitter and Instagram at Foes and Lovers.
And you can find me on both Instagram and Twitter at But This Book.
And you can find me, Seff, on both Instagram and Twitter at Pros with Woes. And if you liked this episode, please feel free to review, leave us a rating. Just anything. We'd like to hear from you guys.
Bye!
Bye!